The 2025 Invictus Games opening ceremony, a night of celebration and confrontation. Vancouver's BC Place Stadium was electric. Thousands filled the stands, waving flags, cheering, and celebrating the resilience of wounded warriors who had found new strength through sports. The stage was set for an unforgettable opening ceremony of the 2025 Invictus Games. Music pulsed through the stadium as global superstars Katy Perry, Nelly Furtado, and Chris Martin of Coldplay delivered performances filled with energy and inspiration. This was meant to be a night of triumph, a moment where the world turned its gaze toward the bravery of these veterans. But as the lights dimmed and the applause settled, a lone figure took the stage, his voice cutting through the celebration with a raw and unexpected truth. The speech that stopped the celebration. Major Noah, a decorated veteran, a man who had given everything for his country. As he stepped up to the microphone, there was a quiet respect in the air. But no one, not even Prince Harry himself, was prepared for what would come next. Ladies and gentlemen, we gather here today to celebrate the resilience of our brothers and sisters. But I must ask, what happens when the games end? When the medals are handed out and the cameras turn away? What happens when these warriors go home to silence? The atmosphere shifted. Cheers faded into murmurs, then silence. People were listening. Major Noah's voice cracked with emotion as he continued. I love these games. I love what they stand for. But let's not pretend that competition is where our fight ends. Because when these lights go out, too many of us return to a different battlefield, one where there are no medals, no applause, only struggles that most of you will never see. It was a moment of raw, unfiltered truth. And it hit hard. The hidden battle beyond the medals. Major Noah spoke about the unseen war that continues long after the uniforms are hung up, the war against PTSD, homelessness, unemployment, and the crushing weight of feeling forgotten. Many of us return home to empty fridges, sleepless nights, and a VA system that buries us in paperwork instead of solutions. We carry scars, some visible, some not. Yet, too often, our sacrifices are reduced to an inspiring highlight reel rather than a call for real, lasting change. His words stung. And they should have. The audience reacts. At first, there was a stunned silence. Then, the shift began. Across the stadium, people nodded. Veterans in attendance wiped away tears. Some clenched their fists, not in anger at Major Noah, but in painful agreement. One veteran in the crowd whispered to his wife, "He's right. No one wants to talk about what happens when we go home." Even those who had come for the spectacle, for the star-studded performances, found themselves moved. This wasn't just another speech. It was a reckoning. Prince Harry responds. Sitting among the VIPs was Prince Harry, the very man who founded the Invictus Games. As Major Noah stepped away from the microphone, a camera panned to Prince Harry's face. His expression was serious, thoughtful. Some say he looked shaken. Minutes later, he took the stage. "Major Noah," he began, his voice measured. "I hear you. I see you. And I promise you, these games are not just about celebrating victories. They are about acknowledging the battles that never end." His words were met with applause, but the tension was still there. It wasn't enough to simply acknowledge the problem. People wanted action. The celebration continues, but the conversation lingers. The show went on. Performances by Noah Kahan and Nelly Furtado tried to lift the mood. But something had shifted. People weren't just talking about the performances anymore. They were talking about Major Noah. Backstage, conversations buzzed among journalists and officials. Would the Invictus Games evolve beyond competition? Could they become a force for real change? A catalyst for change. By the time the night ended, one thing was clear. Major Noah's words had sparked something bigger than the games themselves. Veteran advocacy groups began trending online. Social media flooded with hashtags like #BeyondTheMedals and #VeteransDeserveMore. Talk show hosts picked up the conversation. News anchors dissected the speech. Even politicians weighed in, some offering support, others scrambling to control the fallout. The next day, Major Noah's name was everywhere. Would this moment lead to real action? Or would it fade, like so many before it? That remained to be seen. But one thing was certain. Major Noah had ensured that the struggles of veterans could no longer be ignored.